Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV, the joy and the pain. Today, we're going to be talking with Adam Davy. He's the Community Director of the Walsall Community Programme, and we'd like to bring him on. Let's see who he is. Hello.
Hi, afternoon.
We were just talking off camera. Yourself and Mick Kearns kicked it all off in 1989.
Yeah, so Mick started the scheme back in 1989. We're part of some of the sort of history behind it all. We're part of the EFL Trust National Network of Community Schemes.
Yeah.
So there are the 92 of us, including the Premier League clubs. The Premier League Charities Fund sort of oversee the Premier League 20, and the EFL Trust oversee our 72. But we started off way back when it was a PFA scheme to begin with, run by the PFA. There was a Northwest pilot in about 6 or 7 clubs in the Northwest of the country. And when that was a success, the next area was the Midlands. And Mick was coming to the end of his career. Those fans that know came out of retirement for the League Cup game at Arsenal and things like that. In 89, he started, December 1989, he started our scheme. And it's grown and grown since then. I joined in 1994 as an apprentice coach many years ago, and sort of worked through to where we are now. And what's quite nice is Mick still sits as a trustee for the scheme, and he's a good friend and colleague, and I'm able to call on his experience as well.
Yeah, he's done a lot, and I think between you, you've sort of got it motoring really. What we're going to do today is sort of have a talk through the sort of the annual report, so people can see the kind of stuff that you're doing, because I think most fans probably don't really know the extent of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's something that's grown. You know, over the years, the scheme itself has grown. The sort of public knowledge, or the knowledge of what we do, again, is probably growing with the thanks to social media. Mick was quite old school, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, but he was Mick's attitude, and one I still kind of hold now, is we live in a world where somebody will do something good and then talk about it for 6 weeks, whereas Mick's attitude would be, if we do something good, can we do it again rather than talk about it? We now live in a world where you kind of probably have to do both. So bit by bit, we try and increase the awareness of the work we do as a football club in the community, the difference we make, and the annual report is one way that we can achieve that.
That's it. I'm just sort of bringing it up there. Very nice, shiny, glossy, Matt. You've got the hard copy, haven't you, as well now? Yeah,
we've got the hard copies delivered this week, so we'll be sort of launching that and sending it out to people over the next week or two, and then using it for the rest of the year to promote what we do
and get sponsorships and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you just run through for me, obviously it's going to be fairly small on the screen.
Yeah.
The missions and values, just an overview of that for us.
So, I mean, really, the overriding factor is we want to use the football club and sport, obviously football in the main, to make a positive social change to the area that we operate in, which is obviously the Walsall Borough. So that's the overriding vision of what we do. We've got 4 key themes, and again, you know, for people that zoom in on this and open the link in their own time, they'll see that we deliver across 4 projects or 4 themes, which is sport, health, engagement, and education. And really, all the projects and programs that we run to create that social change, we will categorize in one of those 4 areas. Every project will have an element of all of it, but one will be an overriding factor. So one example might be walking football that we do for the over 50s.
I'm falling into that bracket now with my knees.
Come along and join us. Stuart Ryder actually plays with us on that as well when he can, he can get along. But so walking football is obviously very much a health-based project to encourage people over a certain age to remain physically active. There's an element of education behind it. If we talk a little bit about diet and nutrition as well, it's obviously sport because it's football, and there's an engagement element because we're engaging with a group of individuals that maybe wouldn't necessarily engage in football. So it ticks all boxes, but actually it's our health manager that runs that project for us. So we've got the 4 managers that run the projects for the scheme as well. They do a fantastic job, and through that vision and mission and the values of being, a prominent community club and represent the club well, we hopefully deliver, really strong projects across those 4 themes.
Yeah, that's good. It's, I think one thing we'll sort of come to is sort of like the mental health aspects and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you'll remember back in the 80s, nobody talked about that. You've just got the occasional nutter and that sort of thing. But I mean, mental health is sort of really at the forefront now, particularly with what happened with the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was an impact on physical health as well, because people were obviously inactive. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe now, but we had a moment in our lives where we were all only allowed out the house for an hour a day. And we spent 23 hours locked in the house. So there's the physical and mental effect that had on people of lockdowns was huge. And I mean, what's quite nice, and it's jumping ahead to the engagement bit, and we're on the staff page there. I can touch on the fact that our staff are so vital to the scheme, because without a good base of staff, we struggle to deliver such quality projects. So staffing is something we spend a lot of time making sure we get right. But what's quite nice on the mental health stuff, today is actually the EFL Trust Day of Action. So I think it'll probably have coverage on Sky Sports News and across sort of social media and media networks. And our project that we focused on today was actually our Beat the Block project. It's obviously featured in the annual report, but that's particularly our men's mental health. We all suffer with mental health issues, physical health issues. But as you say, the men's mental health side of things is probably that taboo subject for men to talk about.
Yeah.
And again, using football for positive change, football might be the reason they come along. Now, one of our participants, and if people sort of jump on our social media stuff today, is Maurice Willits. And some of the fans might remember him as Sumo when he was the young goalkeeper in our penalty shootouts many years ago. That we used to do at halftime, the American style shootout. So for me personally, and what's nice about being in a community-based club is you do personally get to know a lot of these people. I remember coaching Maurice on the soccer schools many years ago as a 12, 13-year-old lad. He's actually had some mental health issues. I know I can share some of the things he's talked about because he's been happy to talk about them to promote men opening up more. He had some real serious issues with his mental health. The video that's out there, I don't want to go into too much detail, but, he's been impacted quite heavily with that. He put a video out for us to try and break that stigma. But I've seen him this morning, and he's been at our Beat the Block mental health session this morning for a game of football, and loves it and gets out, and he works nights. So he's come straight from his night shift to football, and it's a really important part of his week for him. So, that's just a highlight of one of the really positive impacts we can have on people's lives. Yeah,
that's good. Education, that's a key one, isn't it? I think one thing I like about this is when we talked previously, every time we have special tickets and get all the school kids in, Walsall get beat. But we won this time, didn't we?
Yeah, it's a bit of a stigma for us that we tried to lose. We managed to lose it this time. It's
now that's it. I think it was Salford, wasn't it?
Yes. No, Sutton.
Sutton, that was it. Yeah, Sutton beat Sutton.
Sutton was the last one we did. But yeah, the education one is primarily in primary schools. There is some Premier League funding we get for a project called Premier League Primary Stars. We do also partner with local primary schools to work with them. The school partners game that you refer to, that's one aspect of what we do. A lot of fans I notice after we do it, there's loads of positive feedback. A lot of people saying, why don't we do it more and more? There are limits that the Football League puts on all football clubs to the number of ticket offers you can allow in a season. So we have to be aware of that. And also...
That's strange, isn't it? That's strange.
It is. I don't understand the full sort of logistics behind that, but it is something that, so when you see the club putting out the friend for a fiver or the season ticket pair-ups and things like that, there are sort of restrictions on that. I think it's to do with income, because the opposition may not want to offer the offer because they want the income from the tickets. I don't know, but there's things there. But we do the school partners game. We regularly put over 1,000 in the community stand, which is great. We've worked hard to get the junior fan zone in there. And activities for kids to do when they get here. But it's actually extra to what we do. Our staff are delivering in primary schools, PE, school clubs and various things. And it's a 6-week run into every game, because we have a week of delivering tickets to over 40 primary schools in the area. We'd love to do all 90, there's about 92, I think, but we just physically don't have the capacity to. So we get to about 40. Some we don't deliver to, because when we have in previous seasons, they've never sold any tickets. So it's a bit of a waste of sort of resource to go back to them. But we deliver to 40 odd schools. We have a week for that delivery, 2 weeks for them to obviously then distribute the tickets within, or the letters within the school, and receive the tickets back. We then collect all the tickets for a week. Then it takes a week to process over 1,000 tickets. Then it's a week to deliver them all. And then it's the game on that Saturday. So 12 weeks of the year we spend gearing up to those 2 games. So it is quite an undertaking. We're really pleased we're able to do it. The club then can follow up on trying to get some of those fans to come back again and again beyond the school partners game. And, I'm sure everybody that's been to a Walsall game when that's happening sees that, it's normally the 2 highest attendances of a season, and the atmosphere is that little bit more lifted by having a stand full that's normally maybe a third, the half full anyway.
That's it. I think, as we say, the frustration is you've put all that effort in and then the team don't perform perhaps.
No,
I
do always mention it to the manager, which games it is. I was able to because it was very soon into Mike Flynn's reign anyway. So I was able to get a message to him about it as well. We had a quick chat about that. And, hopefully that when the players and the manager are aware of that situation, and they obviously walk out of the tunnel and see a stand full that is not the normal view for them as they come out, it hopefully gives them a lift. It worked last time. Let's hope it works again when we do it next season.
Well, let's hope so. Shall we?
Yeah.
What a new thing is the Cyril Regis Legacy Trust.
Yeah. So this was something that started in the academic year, September 2019. So obviously less than a full academic year in, we hit the lockdowns. I'm sure a lot of people watching will know that very, very unfortunately, Cyril was taken too soon, passed away from a heart attack just before his 60th birthday. And his wife, Julia, wanted to create a trust in his name to continue the sort of work that he believed in. So her original idea was to have the 4 West Midlands clubs that he played for, which are obviously Coventry, West Brom, Villa and Wolves. If we brought in Birmingham City and ourselves, we had the 6 West Midlands clubs. Yeah. Cyril was very much embedded in the West Midlands during his career and his life. And so we all work on a project together. We do our individual stuff. And once every half term or so, we go and visit one of the other football clubs and host an event. We hosted ours, I think it was the Harrogate Town game in October. Off the top of my head, we hosted. So 90 young people. We all work with 15 young people. We look at mentoring them. We look at sort of grassroots support for them, and very big on the sort of engagement and anti-racism message that Cyril was big on, because obviously he was very prominent in being part of the 3 Degrees, as they were known, and black players playing football at a time where not many clubs did have black players. So he was very big on that message. So it's a message we have to support the young people that we work with. And every 6 weeks we have a group visit to one of the football clubs. They get a guest speaker. We had David Kelly talk to the kids about his career and his time playing with Cyril at Wolves, and talking about character and what is good character, and that sort of mentoring aspect to it as well. So it went through a tough period of trying to do it digitally through lockdown, but thankfully this season we've been able to get people together, and the impact of having people physically together is so much more. Zoom's great, digital's great, but the impact of it together fully is massive.
It's nice to have everybody back in the ground, isn't it? And we had the chance. Really hard, all the Zoom stuff and everything.
Yeah, it's got a place certainly, and it definitely had a place through lockdowns. But you can never really replicate the impact of. I mean, those young people came together. 90 young people from different parts of the West Midlands. They wouldn't normally meet each other, so you got the social aspect. Everybody missed out on that in the 2 years of lockdowns. The social aspect to it. They then had a football tournament, so they did some sort of classroom and workshop stuff with David Kelly talking to them as well. We had a football tournament up on the AstroTurf, and then they all came in and watched the game. It was a great day out for them. We were actually the first visit post lockdowns and COVID to go ahead, and it was a real success.
I see on the trustees we've got Adam and James Chambers.
Yeah.
Do they have much involvement now?
They do. They're brilliant. I mean, the board of trustees, for those who don't know, we're obviously a registered charity. A board of trustees is essentially like a board of directors for a company. It's just the charity equivalent. It's important to have a good blend of people, not just ex-players or footballers or anyone from that background. We've got head teachers on the board of trustees. We've got businessmen, media people, people that can give me some support in areas that we might need it. But Adam and James particularly, I'm sure they're fondly remembered by all fans of clubs they played for, particularly ours, particularly Adam as well, who obviously spent 10 plus years with us and captained the club.
He just kept going, didn't he?
Yeah, brilliant. And they're really, really nice guys, really insightful, very switched on outside of football as well. And, they have real good input at our 4 trustee meetings a year, but also between those meetings, I can pick the phone up to them. They regularly phone and get in touch with me and we catch up to give them updates, and they're really useful members of the board of trustees.
Very good. Fit Saddlers and Beat the Block. I think we've touched on Beat the Block very briefly. Is that Sumo on there?
Yeah, there he is. There's his little profile, and we've done obviously Mind with the Football League charity, so we did some work with the participants to promote the Mind message of mental health. So yeah, and Fit Saddlers, we also have what we call SHAPE, which is Saddlers Health Awareness Promoting Exercise, but SHAPE is the acronym, get in shape, stay in shape. That's a big project that's sort of going through this year to, again, encourage people that maybe have the physical side of fitness that they want to focus on. It will also touch on the mental health, but the focus is physical fitness. Yeah. And we have, lots of supporters, male and female, that come along, join us weekly, get tickets to games and get some sort of health and lifestyle advice that can help them and also do some physical activity.
I think as we sort of touched on sort of early on and sort of and before the call, when people getting in sort of like towards their 50s, it's very easy to fall out of that routine of exercise.
It is. There's the routine of exercise. We've got one participant who's in their 80s who was coming to walking football, so it's very easy to fall out of that. We do actually have people that are younger than that that may need to do walking football, for example, because for medical reasons or injuries or whatever it might be, that running and going jogging and using a treadmill or a bike is just not an option, whereas walking is, and you can combine that with football and also the social isolation that some of these people face as well. That social aspect, getting out of the house, making the effort to get to a venue to play football with us, interact with people, socialise and go home again. You can't really underestimate the impact that has on people too.
Who kicked off the walking football? I've got John Whitney in my mind. He was involved with that, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, John did bits with us. Again, brilliant when he was here. Dean was here, and we always get the support of the managers, physios. John was very active. John particularly as an ex-player who'd gone into physiotherapy rather than the usual sort of management or punditry kind of stuff. But it was at the time, and it's been going through a few years. There was Barclays adverts on the TV, if you remember, Barclays Bank adverts about walking football, and it kind of grew and sort of gained attention, I suppose, as a sport. And we actually linked in with Walsall Housing Group, WHG. They obviously are a big social housing network, men and women, young people, people with disabilities, everybody, all nature of people that could be, living in the houses that they have. And they were able to help us sort of send that message across the network as well. So we kicked it off with them, and then gradually it's become a sort of project in itself that we've continued to run and get really good numbers attending sessions each week.
Yeah, it's that community, isn't it? And as we touched on, a lot of the Saddlers fans probably aren't aware that this is even happening. Yeah,
it's you can only advertise so much, I suppose, in one respect. And social media is great for advertising, but it only gets seen by the people that are following you anyway. And if they're following you anyway, they probably know what you do. So what's important for us, I suppose, and we have a media and communications officer that works for us, Jordan, who actually produced the annual report this year, manages all the social media, is the likes and shares that then go further than the followers we have are so important to us. And
that's
and working to capacity, that's the other thing, because you have, obviously, facilities wise, they're limited to a number that you can fit onto a particular area or hall or pitch. Staffing wise, do we have enough staff? We've got lots of staff, but they're all busy. That's why we're so successful. So, if we suddenly had 200 people turn up for walking football on a Friday, we just couldn't facilitate it right now. But if we had 200 over a week and we'd separate it into 4 or 5 sessions over the week, we can build. So capacity building is important. And what we don't ever try and do is run before we can walk. Because if we go into leading a project and it doesn't work because we've rushed into it and we haven't got the infrastructure ready to deliver it properly, it doesn't have the impact it can have. It leaves a bad reputation to people that have attended and ultimately gives the club a bad name. So we're very careful that we make sure as best we can, we do everything properly and make sure it's a success and has the impact we want it to have.
Yeah, that's good. Engagement, that's the soccer schools that we sort of touched on.
Yeah.
We sort of covered that one, really, I think.
We have the one bit, I'm not sure there, it's on the next page there. The HAF, which is the Holiday Activities and Food Programme, became very widely popular from the Marcus Rashford campaign. Essentially, HAF, HAF, as we call it, is the result of the Marcus Rashford campaign through lockdowns. Families on universal credit, families of low income that access the free school meals. Marcus at Rashford obviously asked the question, well, if they're accessing free school meals and schools are now shut, who's feeding them in lockdowns? So as an extension of that now, in the Easter, summer and Christmas holidays, we have an opportunity to link in with Walsall Council and the Department for Education to access funding that not only pays for those children to come and access football activities, but we give them a hot meal at lunchtime too. And what's quite good about that hot meal, it's all based at the stadium. We have 1 or 2 school-based ones, but predominantly it's at the stadium. The youth team are based here. We work very closely with the youth and academy as well. And whatever the meal is that the youth team players are getting that day, we speak to chef in the morning and order the extra meals that we need for the children on the soccer school. So not only are they getting a hot meal, but they're actually getting a healthy hot meal as well. That's an extension of what the youth team were having. So works really well.
This is what I was talking about, really. The Marcus Rashford, everybody knows what he was doing.
Yeah.
But how many Sadler's fans were aware that this happened? Because I wasn't aware before I read this report.
Yeah, it's not our project as such. It's a council-based project or a council-led project. So we apply to be one of their delivery agents, if you want to use the technical terms, to deliver projects. There's music projects, art projects, dance projects, all manner of different projects, not just sport, that are going on across the borough. So it's a council-led project. We only have 50 places a day. I say only. We fill them like that. Every half session we've done. So without much publicity, the sessions are full anyway, but it is targeted because you have to be in receipt of universal credits, free school meals type situation to be able to access it. That was the whole point of Marcus's campaign. So, you're right. It probably needs to be promoted more. We promote it as much as we can with the schools that we work with, but we very quickly fill out the places anyway. And again, there's a capacity limit. We could probably fill 300 places every day, but we don't have the room to fit them on a pitch.
I mean, on the video scoreboard and that sort of stuff at half time, it may be putting something on there.
Yeah, we can look at that. We obviously have access to that. We're a department within the football club. We all work together for the same sort of means. So certainly things like that, the match day programme, we have some stuff in. And again, the annual report itself highlighting the impact that we've had with...
I'm thinking on that scoreboard, if perhaps we could get sort of the community programme, so like that's what they've been doing this week, and have that sort of highlighted on that board, sort of...
Yeah, certainly something I can take to the club to see if there's room on there to fit that in match days. I know obviously there's also the sort of commercial agreements with sponsors and supporters of the club that get their messages on there as part of their agreements. But if there's room in there for it, I'm sure that's something we can look to do.
But I think that's part of the business thing. If you, from the sponsor's point of view, if people are looking at that and being directed towards that to see what the community programme have been doing, then the adverts are going to be appearing around that. and that's going to improve the focus of the advert as well, I would think.
Yeah, it is. I've looked at that, and we've talked about the internal advertising boards and things such as that. In the main, though, that's a closed audience. You know, it's almost the same sort of people every week. So once you've seen it once, you've seen it over the 23 games. It's got its place, and I think it's a very good idea, and it's not something I would never consider. But it's that wider reach as well, to make sure you'll have different sponsors and different people in from time to time. The away fans won't be too interested in it, but that core Walsall supporter group, sharing and spreading the word is just as important. I think that's the challenge for us now is to get those messages out. But if we get it to a certain audience, whether that be through the digital board on a match day or the annual report or whatever it might be on social media, it's that sharing wider to friends and colleagues and partners and different people that wouldn't normally see that message anyway.
It's a big message, isn't it? To
a bit of both.
Getting it shared. I think that's
definitely.
The one. What I think a lot of the Saddlers fans will be perhaps more aware of is sort of like the more football related stuff.
Yeah, and we have what we call our core activities. So soccer schools, every football club puts a soccer school on in school holidays. That's one that's almost a given that a supporter or follower or a parent would expect. Birthday parties, the weekly Saturday club and things like that. So they're what we would call our core activities. We'll always do those. We have always done them. They're a great success. We charge as minimum amount as we can to make sure that everybody has access to those programs. And then beyond that, you have obviously your funded projects like Kicks on that page there, which is an antisocial behaviour. You know, with the West Midlands VRU, Violence Reduction Unit, they're key targeted projects that get funded as well. So it's trying to keep the blend of both, so everybody has access, but then we also have those targeted projects that have real impact as well.
Yeah, very good. We've let's have a look with what we got next. Match visits, that's the one.
Yeah. So we're going into the sports section. A few different things we do there. Obviously, it's not a direct sort of target for us to increase the supporter base. The way we operate is if we introduce people to the football club, children, adults, however it may be, if we introduce them and do a good job and they come to the game and they enjoy it, and we all have no control over the results, you know, and I would suggest
not even the manager. That's it.
No, exactly. But I would suggest that even on the days where we lose, what people can't lose sight of the fact is we've sometimes introduced people that have never been to a game before, and the result didn't really matter to them as much as the experience they had of being at a live football match. So
it's creating that experience.
Yeah, creating that experience, giving people that opportunity, and with the match visits particularly, we focus on them with junior teams, with schools, with diverse groups, integration groups, all manner of different groups that come. We theme them. We've had girls only days. We've had recently we worked with an Afghan welfare group and Care for Calais to bring some Afghan supporters to the game that have sadly have to leave their country because of the troubles they face there and are now sort of in the middle of the Midlands, living in a hotel and not sure what their next move is. And to see them receive a match visit, to see a school receive a match visit, to see groups that have maybe another one we did recently was domestic abuse charities and bringing people to a safe space to come and watch football. There's so many different ways and so many different people we can impact with those match visits. It's great. And this season, with the return to fans this season, there was 2 years almost where we couldn't watch football. We've been absolutely stacked out, and every match day that we've had this season, we've been able to invite all manner of different groups to come and experience a game at Walsall Football Club, which has been great.
Yeah, that's good. I think for me, the mantra on my channel about the joy and the pain, it's not about winning every week. It's about understanding that life is a balance of joy and pain.
It is and you see, if you buy a ticket to a football match, you can't guarantee that your team will win. If you buy a ticket to the cinema, you can't guarantee you'll enjoy the film. You've got to take it for the experience it is. There's the ups and the downs. We obviously want more ups than downs, and there's many a supporter seeing us in the days in the Championship with Ray Graydon, the playoff final. The days where we were in League Two but got promotion under Richard Money, the time under Dean Smith was obviously a more recent period of success, and we all live for those days. But there's going to be the down days too. But the experience and the impact that you can have on people coming to a match, the impact we can have, and the differences we can make as a football club continually, regardless of results on the pitch, is what we kind of focus on. So it's the joy and the pain, as you say.
It's funny. I was talking with my lad Stephen, and he didn't get to the last match because he was away with the Explorer Scouts.
Right.
And but he was talking about he wanted to get back to the ground to sort of let out his frustrations on the world and release his passion, sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's what football does. It brings people together. It gets the adrenaline going, good and bad, and it's a release for people, and for many people, a huge part of their weekly sort of life. That
roller coaster of emotion, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just as mentioned, we got DJ Jean Bash. He's saying hi from Brazil.
Oh right, there we go.
We were talking before we went live. We got a friend coming from the Iceland Saddlers, so we're going to meeting up with them very soon at the Carlisle game.
Yeah.
Right then, next one, talented and gifted.
Yeah, so it's the development program. There's lots of conversation about the title of it. It was given that name at a time where schools had a gifted and talented program where they were looking to identify the talents of all children. Some will be musically minded, art minded, sport minded, literacy, numeracy, whatever it may be. And we obviously looked at that, and really that was to fill a gap that was missing at the time. And there's many development centres now, football clubs, private organisations, where you've got some children that want to be the best they can at football, maybe aren't quite at academy level, but still maybe that little bit ahead of the grassroots kids that they play with every Sunday, Saturday morning. So filling that gap for them to come together, because we all know that if you're very good at something and don't have to try hard to be better than everyone else, you don't improve as quickly and as much.
No, you need to have quality alongside you to.
So it's filling, it's filling that gap there. So much so that when you fill that gap, it might then accelerate some of their learning and development that gets them into the academy. So again, it's not a driver to purposely find kids for the club and move them into the academy. However, that should be, if you do the job well, it should be a byproduct of it. A bit like the match day visits. If we do a good job, the byproduct should be that they want to come every week. You shouldn't have to force them to come every week. It should happen naturally. So we do that with the development program. The older age groups play matches every Saturday morning. And we put people through that development program in the hope that if it's all done correctly, the natural succession might be that one or two of those make the academy. And we've had some real success. I think it's 4 or 5 out of the current youth team have come from that project. And one key one that was in previous annual reports was Joe Folkes. Joe's on loan at Kidderminster, full-back, right-back. He's on loan his first year as a professional senior player.
He had an injury, didn't he? But I think
knee injury
mid-season,
yeah. But Joe was somebody that the club didn't take as an 8-year-old, and we've told this story in the annual report. It's out there for people to see. I'm not giving away any secrets, but Joe was in with the academy as a pre-academy player many years ago, 10, 11 years ago, as an under-8 going to under-9s, wasn't taken in by the academy at the time, joined the development program. We continued to coach him. We worked very closely. We worked with Miguel. We worked with Graham Biggs, Neil Woods, Dean Smith when he was head of youth. We've always worked with the head of youth. Rob Williams is now in doing it, and I'm sure he'll do a great job for us.
Do you have much to do with Rob?
Yeah, I've actually known Rob personally for a number of years anyway. So it was great to see him back at the club. He was here previously as head of coaching. I know he'll do a great job. We'll work very closely with him. And one of the things we do for that development program is make sure we're teaching the same methods and messages that the football club give the academy. So if a young player does graduate into the academy, it's not a mixed message. And they move on there. And so Joe then joined us for a period of time, went into the academy at 13, then got a youth team scholarship, then got a professional scholarship. If we hadn't had the development program, there's an argument to suggest he would have left the club and been lost to the club. So there's been a few. There's been a few come and go. We've got a number in the academy at the moment that we obviously hope do well and move forward and become footballers. And that, again, is just a program that meets a need for a certain number of people. But we know that with everything else, people say, well, what if my kid's not good enough? We've got plenty of other programs for people to do as well. It's not a one size fits all. There's programs for as many people as we can do. And we hope that they all have a success. And the development program does that by generating 1 or 2 players for the club as well.
Yeah. I was just looking at the next slide. That's sustainability, player appearances, and the Midland Junior Premier League.
Yeah, so we're just finishing on the development program. When they get to 16, if they haven't got into a youth team, we then have a post-16 program with Walsall College, which is basically a football education program where they continue to play as Walsall FC. I think we're playing Wolves on the AstroTurf as we speak. I think there's a game against the Wolves going on and their equivalent program. So we're in a Midlands EFL league of colleges that does that. We're looking now into the new year and into next year to offer apprenticeships and degree programs that those students can go on for. So if you had the aspiration as a young player to become a professional footballer and they didn't make it, then there's that opportunity for them to still stay within football, still link with the football club and look at other avenues to play, coach and develop anyway. So that's really important.
And that sort of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and we can, and by 18, they may be looking at university. We're looking to have our own internal degree program linked in with the other EFL clubs as well. So lots happening there. But sustainability is a new one. Obviously, it's a big issue in the world. That's talked about in many different areas, and sustainability is something that EFL are encouraging us to look at as football clubs and community schemes. And we're sort of dipping our toe into that. And the first thing we did that we highlight in the annual report is the single-use plastic and the amount of children participants in general that come to sessions and bring plastic bottles that get thrown in the bin on the way out. So we access some reusable drinks bottles through a funding pot at Birmingham County FA and distributed nearly 500 drinks bottles to participants and encouraged them to bring reusable drinks bottles. It's a small step, but if everybody takes these small steps, it'll make a big difference. So that's
it's just touching on the education that we're helping people take on with the rest of their lives and the rest of their activities.
Definitely that. And there was one on that page there, and I think if you flip to the next page, there's a little bit on the community mascots.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We've got those there, and that was with a national charity. Those that listen to Talk Sport may have heard of the Free Kicks Foundation. They're a Peterborough-based charity, and Adrian Durham's obviously a Peterborough fan and talks about them. And their charity was set up nationally to raise funds to then pay for mascot experiences at football clubs. I actually proposed an idea to them. We did a couple of those with them. They worked really well, and their idea is they get given out, donated to children that maybe wouldn't get the opportunity for whatever reason or deserve the opportunity for whatever reason. So we did a couple of mascots with them. And then I said to them, if they actually doubled the funding to help us cover the cost of the football kits that we give out, I'll get the club to agree that we'll actually have a mascot every game. So rather than have one mascot for a few £100, for a few more £100, we'll have 23 mascots. So what those mascots get is obviously their Walsall kit. They get tickets to the game with their family and friends. And pre-COVID, they went out with the mascots and walked out onto the pitch and did that. We haven't been able to do that. The pitch itself has been a red zone for players and officials only for most of the season. But hopefully next season we can reintroduce it. And those are just a selection of the young people that have gained what we call community mascots or community kids, really, that came this season. Again, loads of good stories. Schools nominating them for good behaviour, family and friends nominating them for reasons that they've done something positive in the local community themselves. Really rewarding and deserving individuals. So that's been something that we really enjoy doing. And Free Kicks Foundation's a huge supporter of that, which is great.
Yeah, and the community hub, obviously, that massive achievement to sort of get that on board.
Yeah, and named after Mick, which I think is a nice touch for Mick. I know he's very, very humbled to have that named after him.
Yeah, Mick and Adam wouldn't have had the same ring, would he?
No, it's. I don't think we're not quite like Ant and Dec, Mick and Adam. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was named after Mick, and basically we've got to a stage where by doing everything right and by doing everything as best as we can, we've obviously got something right, that we've grown and grown and grown and had more and more impact in the community that we serve as a football club, and we needed more room. basically. We needed more classroom space, office space, and so on, as we've grown and developed. So that was something we had some reserve funding that we were able to invest into the project. That unlocked some funding from the Football Foundation, which helped with the facility. And obviously the club put their input in financially and staff-wise as well. So between us, a combined effort, we were able to build that. I'm sure many of you that sit in what I call the home end, the home serve stand as it is at the moment, sitting in there, going into that on a match day is great. It's a brilliant facility for you on a match day, and they've got the ex-players come down and talk in there. But during the week, we're utilising it every day of the week as best we can to make sure it has an impact day to day, Monday to Friday as well.
Very good. Very good. Right then, so just to conclude, the year ahead.
Well, we never like to rest on our laurels. We obviously like to try and keep improving and adding new programmes. And it's never, as I say, as a charity, as a non-for-profit charity, it's not about making loads of money so we can sit back and retire. It's about generating income to be able to deliver more projects, to be able to have more impact, and to create more change in the Walsall area. So lots of different projects. NCS is one of those. We're looking at better use of the hub. We're looking at the degree programme. Loads. And what a beauty of the job, I suppose, is every day you can turn up and something suddenly lands on your email, on your doorstep, and you go, actually, there's something. Let's explore that and see if we can make something more of that. New partners that come on board, people that see videos like this, the annual report, they go, I've just seen that. Could we work with you? So you never quite know what's going to go on.
That was the idea for getting you on, help spread the word, really. That's
and people say, well, what sort of projects do you do? And I say, well, nothing's out of the question. There's many things we've tried that have failed. There's many things we've tried that have worked. There's things that have failed maybe 5 years ago that if we revisited now and changed slightly with a partner or a funding bid, might work this time. So you're always looking at opportunities to work with people, and particularly through corporate social responsibility or CSR that firms will have, how they can utilise their sort of finance that they set aside for that sort of reason. We can help deliver on that. We don't suggest we're better than anyone else. We certainly don't think we're the answer to everything, but we've got a place in the world where football, Walsall FC and sport will engage with many different people of all sorts of backgrounds and ages, and hopefully we can keep running those projects and making a difference and going from strength to strength.
Well, that's it. It's not just about the football.
No, it's not. The football's a part of it. It will be a big pull for a lot of people. The mental health, we started talking about the mental health guys. If we just said, come and have a donut, and, we had some food, Morrison's provided some food. We have some tea, coffee, donuts, fruit. And I have to say, they all went for the fruit today. It was the staff that had the donuts. But, but if we said to them, come down for a chat and a cup of tea, they probably wouldn't come. But if we get them there with the football and then go, well, by the way, guys, come and have a little bite to eat and a cup of tea, and we sit and chat with them and check everybody's okay. It's the football that got them there, and that's our unique selling point. That's our big advantage. And being a professional football club as well, we have that extra pull of that side of things. So, it's the football that gets people engaged, but the difference we can make as you signpost them out to other things is vitally important.
Yeah, I think it's important that we sort of keep spreading that word. Had Maddie on here yesterday talking about her game too.
Yeah.
And sort of bringing a bit more females and girls into the environment. Encompassing everyone, isn't it?
We look at that. There's obviously the Walsall ladies team that are sort of independently run, part of the club, but run by the guys that run the Walsall ladies team. We link in with them. Pre-COVID, we had match days where they came, and every one of their junior section and adult section came to be ball girls, flag bearers, match visits. Football does historically maybe attract a more male audience than female, but that's not to say we have female walking football. We have female participants at our shape and health sessions. We obviously have the girls that come to soccer schools and our Saturday clubs. We took a group from, I think it was St Thomas of Canterbury School. I'd have to check that. I think it was, to a girls' competition. I'll double check that. It was certainly St Thomas of Canterbury pre-COVID. We did it recently. They went to a Premier League girls' competition. We've got some Premier League kicks funding where we'll have some free female soccer school places going forward. So it's really important. Females, diverse communities, disability, and everyone else. Football's for everyone, and the underrepresented groups we want to try and encourage as much as everybody as well.
That's it, and encompass everybody.
Bring everybody in, and hopefully make them fall in love with Walsall Football Club.
Well, I was going to say, to conclude, I think it's only fair that the joy and the pain should be shared with everyone.
Yeah, we should share that joy and pain with as many people as possible.
That's it, regardless of their race, creed, sexuality, and all that business.
Yeah,
nice one. That's been brilliant, Adam. Thank you for coming on the channel, and hope to continue spreading the message. And,
thanks for inviting me.
And
as you say, for anyone that sees this and are able to look at the report, share it with friends, family, and spread the word of the great work we do as a football club, that would be really appreciated. So thank you for having me on.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Champion. Wolves Fan TV. Great insight. Thank you. Cheers.